Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners podcast. So this is going to be a weird episode because we thought that we would do this as an EFL game review and then talk about the North London derby, but then no one was able to watch the EFL game. So we are still trying to review it based on whatever highlights we saw, or I don't know if we would call that a review. But anyways, we have got Arun back with us. Hi Arun.
Hello.
And Bob back with us. Hi Bob.
Good day, guys.
And we have got a new guest with us, Aben. Hi, welcome to the group.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
So we'll start with Bob, especially about the EFL game. I mean, no one saw it, so it's unfair to ask like how the team performed and how was this and everything. But having a continuity, that winning that game, I mean, it's AFC Wimbledon. We thought we will win and all those things aside, but still winning that game, keeping a clean sheet, playing some of the players who needed minutes, that is all. When you put those into a container in your mind, does that all make sense and it looks like something positive? What do you...
First, I wanted to get back to you on the part where none of us were able to watch it. I think some of us did, because if you were on Twitter, many of them were actually streaming live from Twitter, and it actually went beyond 15,000 viewers there at a point in time. So
50,000 at some points. It was 50,000-60,000. Yeah.
Oh yeah, much more than that. So yeah, now if you ask about, yes, some of the generous souls within the stadium were actually live streaming it on Twitter, which was a good thing to see, considering the weird scenario.
That just proves that social media is Arsenal's platform. No one else can touch us there. Arsenal fans live and rule social media at all points. So yeah,
totally.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, having watched that game around there, I can't really talk about much in terms of how it happened, but I did watch the highlights on Arsenal.com after the game. And yes, as to your point, we did give chances to a lot of them who didn't get featured in the week before. So it was a good game, considering that. And then many of them were looking sharp, like I said, and others were looking sharp. NKT always bullies around the smaller team, so I don't really count on that as such. But it was a good game overall. And then, I mean, to come out with a win and then not to actually have any injuries ahead of the North London derby is much more appreciated in that regard.
So regarding the no telecast thing, Arun, so especially because we are, as we call ourselves, away fans, right? We are reliant on watching our beloved Arsenal in TV, in phones, in all online platforms, whatever is available, or anywhere that's available. And to not have that, and to see that especially United game was telecasted. I think Chelsea's game was telecasted.
It was, and the Tottenham game was also being telecasted.
Yeah, so some of the
guys, to be fair, Arsenal game was telecasted in China, if you were there.
Oh yeah, it was, but nobody could find that link.
Yeah. So how does that make you feel? Because for me, especially, right, Arun, I was feeling really down because we have seen Arsenal from the glory days, where if there was one game that was telecasted, that could be Arsenal game. From that point to where Arsenal's game was not even being telecasted, it felt really odd. Although it kind of made me realize that what other fans would have felt during those times. But
are you trying to connect this lack of telecast to the stature of the club?
I am trying to pull that out of you.
No. Oh, no. I really don't think like it has I see your point. I see how it could be a point of banter for people from other clubs saying that, hey, you guys are not good enough anymore. You guys are not big enough anymore. Even your Carabao Cup game is not being telecast. Yeah. But banter is always available no matter what you do or what you don't do, right? So I do not think this reflects the stature of the club or what we've been going through or what we've like gone through these last few years in any way. I really don't think so. I'm not trying to attach any logic to this because I wasn't able to like see any logic to this. The only thing that I could possibly think was because Wimbledon is not like in the Premier League, they're playing in the championship. So you do not have the same level of people watching it globally as they would for a game involving Chelsea and Villa, who've been doing well, or United and West Ham, who've been doing well. You know, so ultimately, in my opinion, if I were the broadcaster, I would like to think like how many hits can I get globally, and Arsenal Wimbledon. As much as we love to watch Arsenal, as much as like 50,000 people were watching the live stream from the stadium, like Bob said, it doesn't like really. There is nobody supporting Wimbledon. Where is the other side going to come from? So that probably was the logic in my head when I thought about it. Of course, I forced myself to think that way because I did not want to fall into this trap of thinking that the club is no longer a big club. We have lost our stature. Nothing. We're pretty good. It's just like one of these games that does happen. It was frustrating. Usually, you find some link or the other from some unknown country, but even that was not possible this time. So, like these are the games, these are things that you wish happens when we're getting battered 5-0, 6-0 by City or Chelsea. No, those things don't happen during those games. We're forced to watch all of them. and when you know that this is a game that you can win, the team is in a good run, like not a good run, but it's an easily winnable game, they won't show it. But yeah, coming back to the thing, no, I do not think it has got anything to do with our stature or anything. It's basically like just broadcasting. It seemed like this would be a better thing to broadcast, more eyeballs.
It's all business.
It's all business. Yeah, it's all business. Like how our club deals with business all the time.
But Aben, getting back to the game, right? We scored 3 goals. Although in retrospect, that sounds like a really comfortable goal result to have. But we didn't score the 2. I mean, we were 1-0 up for I think 80 minutes or something. It was not as comfortable as we thought it is at the end of it. Do you feel that way, or is it like? I mean, what I'm trying to ask you is like, are we finding it difficult to score even against Wimbledon?
I would say obviously, yesteryear's games like these would have been different. It's definitely not the same. We don't have the same attacking prowess we had earlier. So I would say, yeah, it was an easy win, but it was not a free-flowing where we scored a lot of goals. Even the 3, like you said, we scored the last 2 goals towards the end. It is not like we scored in the beginning. So definitely not a free-flowing game where we just scored. But yeah, it was a game, like Arun said, it is another win, which actually helps us. We need that momentum going forward.
Especially when it comes to North London derby. So, Bob, you mentioned about, I mean, Eddie, we know your opinions, but on Lacazette having a better game, and the other 2 people that had better games were, I think, Tavares and Partey. Partey is one of your favorites. So, the logic I could get from Arteta that Partey needs some time on the pitch and everything, but how much is that game going to influence how much time Partey is going to have on North London derby, right? He played almost like 70 minutes, 60 minutes or 70 minutes. So is that going to be like Partey is still again in North London derby, he could play 70 minutes, 60 minutes. Is that what is the idea behind it?
To sum up what Arteta said, he pretty much mentioned that playing on the ground is similar to how you do it on the training pitch. And since Partey having missed a lot of time at the start of the season due to his injury means that he needed more minutes to actually get into shape. And I felt that way that he achieved that 60-minute mark when he played. And by that way, he got vital practice ahead of the game. And I just feel that it will make him more sharper than anything because at the end of the day, you need your players to be on the top. You don't overuse them, but at the same time, they need to be at the peak fitness and the peak shape before any game. I mean, so in that regard, I felt it was necessary to have had Partey, and then like I said as well, because like I said, has been really sharp against Tottenham in the past. He scored against 6 goals in 8 games against Tottenham. So it's important that we have one more striking option. Should we actually change in a different formation or a shape during the game? And I feel, like I said, is very important. I'm not sure if the others who actually featured in would get a starting berth from there, but yeah, I feel Partey would definitely start. And like I said, could probably complement at some point in time with Oba, because they both up front have caused a lot of problems for Tottenham in the past. So I completely agree with the manager's decision, and then probably it's a way to go in my regard as well.
But Arun, I mean, we didn't expect Partey to start, and we did not expect such a strong lineup in the first place. I understand the reasoning behind it. We are not having a lot of midweek games, so these players need time and everything. But just to compartmentalize this win, right, and to put that into perspective, this is one of the 3 competitions that we can participate in, and so is this going to bump up the priority of Carabao Cup in Arteta's mind or in club's mentality
for this season?
For this season, yes.
Yeah. For this season, definitely we do not have another option, right? As many as we can win, it is always going to be good for us. Plus, we cannot, if we do want to go to Europe, we do have opportunity to go through the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. When you do not have,
really, that's your last resort, is it?
Yes, it is. Let's be realistic here. I mean, like, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, and that's why I don't see like the need for not having to concentrate on any one of them. We need to be like, we do have the squad for it. We do not have any travel outside of England, which is like an amazing thing considering the set of players and the fatigue and all that. So yeah, this for me, this works perfectly. We have to prioritize all 3 of these things. I know it is a stark difference from our culture of actually playing the likes of, unknown youngsters, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, Abelas, or like, the Fabregas was he made his like first impression in a Carling Cup game, as it was called back then. So it is, yeah, we are moving away from that, but I do not think that it is going to be a permanent thing. Like this season, importance of winning something, like just to instill some confidence, just to draw parallels. When we won the FA Cup under Arteta, when he won it, like everybody was happy. Everybody thought he was going to be the man to change things. But then everything dropped after the performances that we had. A cup win always boosts the club's, the fans, like the feelings of happiness towards the club. The support increases. So for me, I would like them to take each match that they go on to. I hate Carabao Cup. I hate the Carling Cup. Yes, I did. But then the club has not left me in any position to hate it anymore.
Beggars cannot be choosers.
Choosers, not at all. So yeah, I mean, like I would love to. I would like the team to go full on for everything, unless like there's a possibility of not playing a clutch player like Partey in the games like these. I would like the team to go all out and try to win all of them.
Interesting. So, but anyone else has any thoughts on the game? Because I think that's enough to talk about. Because we didn't watch the game, there is no point in dissecting it any further. Unless you guys want to talk about anything in particular, I don't think we could continue on that.
I'd like the back goal from Ninkadia. Totally out of blue.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few things that actually happened in the game which I like, but again, without seeing the game, we don't know what's the context, how the full flow was. We are just seeing moments in a game, and just saying that is a good moment is all we can do. We cannot say, oh, this constituted this. This is what the flow happened like this. We are not able to say that. But anyways, so yeah.
Let me ask you guys this: is Eddie signing a new contract?
Who?
Eddie.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. Then no point talking about him.
No, but anyways, we got Aben here. I mean, we have to talk about the fans in the stadium. Aben is one of the stadium going fans that we have among us. So Aben, we are seeing a lot of, especially with the last couple of seasons, right? We are seeing that Arsenal social media fans are very vocal, very negative, and very I don't know, on edge. Does that translate to the stadium? Do you feel that fans are displeasured, fans are negative in the stadium? Do you?
There have been times where the fans have been negative. So I have seen where the fans. I was in the game when Saka was booed away. So there are definitely games when, because that was the worst game I've seen in the stadium, and it was not right. I felt it was not right, fans booing at that moment. But I think the last game I went to, the last home game against Norwich, it was different. We've a lot of few new faces who've come in, which gives not a lot of optimism, but a little amount of optimism. Maybe a light across the tunnel that things would turn out for the better. So there's definitely, but I've seen games where we've not been doing very well. I was there when Pepe had his debut, and he had one run. He didn't do a lot, but he had one run from the halfway line going front. Everybody was so excited. There's so much of energy. But with Arsenal, what I've seen is, I've generally, most of the time, I've seen games starting of the season. There's a lot of energy, but towards the end of the season, that energy is still not there. That's what has been happening for a few seasons. But definitely, there's a lot of optimism now. The Norwich game, definitely the fans were there. It was full on Josh, and it was definitely nice. A good atmosphere at that moment.
But what did you feel, Aben, about? I mean, how was the mood during the first of the Norwich game? Because we were already 3 games lost, and then during the first half, we didn't really get to score at all. But although we were actually playing in a very attacking way, how was the mood amongst the fans during that point in time?
So first 20-25 minutes, because generally off late we've not been starting that well, but that game, the first 20 minutes we started really well. We were attacking. We didn't get the goal, but we were attacking and it was going in. But obviously towards the end of the half, it was like we were not in the back foot. I wouldn't say we were on the back foot, but that first 20 minutes effect was not there. The attacking play we had, that had gone. So I think I personally am neutral. After facing so many failures, I've just become immune to it. So, but I think the fans,
aren't we all?
but I think the fans were not disheartened. But yeah, there was frustration keeping in with every passing minute until we scored. Even the moment we scored, we all celebrated. The moment we saw it on the big screen, we wrote it off. We said it will be ruled out, but eventually it all turned out well. So in the end, it was a good end result, I would say.
Okay, that's interesting. But regarding NLD, I think both you and Bob have been to a couple of, I mean, at least you have been to a couple of NLD games, and Bob, I think you have been to a couple of North London Derby games.
Yes, just
okay, one, but very interesting one. So I would like to hear your stories on the game. I mean, either of you can go ahead, mention to us how it feels about a North London Derby.
I'll tell you my part, because it was very short-lived, but then Aben can actually fill it up with a lot of other things that he's been witnessing. Both of us were really very excited. We don't really live close to London. We used to be in Swindon at that point. Aben is still in Swindon, by the way. But yeah, we traveled around there. It was overall, I mean, very exciting game, because it was not just any other game. And like us, like how you mentioned, fans like us don't get many chances to actually watch in a game, and that too not London Derby. That I could even dream of that. So it was very special in that regard. And then when as we were closing towards the stadium, the whole tube was actually filled with Arsenal fans and Arsenal supporters. It was all along, you could call it as a festival. It was really a gala event, carnival sort of a thing. People were everywhere. There were a lot of merchandise and things being sold. The excitement was actually too much for us to handle, I would say, because it's not. Yeah, it was just getting into the nerves, and then going into the game. I was just on one of the lower decks. I got a chance to meet Gunasaurus at that point in time. So it very special. You can't really sum up. And I didn't get a chance to sit with Aben. Our seats were actually a little bit far apart, but we were actually looking at each other. As the game started, there were continuously abuses and all those sort of things floating around on Tottenham that you can't even imagine or even talk about. But it was excitement all along, and I didn't see anyone really sitting on their seats, for all those 90 minutes there. Even it was just a throw in or anything, people were just on their feet and they were continuously cheering for the game. Can't really, yeah, you can't explain it in words in terms of how it felt. It was like an adrenaline rush through the 90 minutes. And the worst part is we did concede a goal, but the fans were actually getting really riled up, and then they were actually supporting the team. Even after they did concede a goal, and then donkey happened when Adebayor got red carded for.
This is we are talking about the 5-2 in case like the listeners don't know which game we are talking about, the 5-2 that Arsenal won against Spurs. Yeah.
Which was back in 2012. So yeah, I think it was November 2012, if I remember it right, Aben. So after that, it was all a one-man show. We were completely thumped, and then since both of us were actually wearing Arsenal jerseys, even when we were walking past in streets of London, taxi drivers and people on the road were honking at us, and then they were all rejoicing with us with the victory. The whole stadium or the whole town actually changes red when I felt Arsenal won. Arsenal had like a lot of strong fan bases at that point in time, because we were all in some of the at least decent Wenger era where we were consistently in top 4 and playing championship football and all those sort of things. So that experience, the whole experience was surreal, and I don't think anyone could even come closer to that in my personal life.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome to hear. Aben, go ahead.
I completely agree with him. So I'll give you an example of not a North London derby. Even a normal game where we are not doing well, everybody is down. There are 3 chants which happen. This happens in every game. I haven't gone to a game where we haven't had. If you hate Tottenham, stand up. And everybody stands up. It's like you have to stand up. Then what do you think of Tottenham?
Yeah, shit.
What do you think of shit?
Tottenham.
Exactly. So this is in every game. So even if you're down, somebody starts this, you get that energy. This rivalry gets you, the passion rises. Like Bob said, every game when you walk in, the crowd moving in, it is a feeling. But a North London derby is completely different. I still remember I had goosebumps from the starting till the end. There was so much of passion, energy. Like Bob said, the fans are all up. We never sit down literally. It's like full on energy, and obviously the way we won it just adds to that. So it's definitely an amazing experience, which I hope every Arsenal fan gets an opportunity.
No, I was about to ask Aben about the whole idea of, because we have never been, like me, Arun, and Deepak, or Ellen, whoever comes into this podcast, we have never been to Emirates yet, or to North London yet. So in that case, like, what would it take for me to, I reach London or I reach UK, then what do I have to do to watch a game at Arsenal? Like, just walk us through. And like, not just like how do we get tickets and stuff, like where do we get off, what do we do, where do we go, how do we meet people?
So reaching Arsenal is very simple. Take a London tube map, the metro map, look for the station named Arsenal and just get there. So there is a station named Arsenal right next to the stadium. So that way it is very easy. But yeah, for you, if you get to London, you want to see a game, you call me. That's what I'll tell you.
Does that offer?
But yeah, but for all the viewers, now tickets are being sold in different ticket platforms, but they're generally expensive. So the best way to buy a ticket is if you have an Arsenal membership, which costs you around £40 a year. But then you £40 a year for a red level member, but then you have access to around 7,500 or 9,000 tickets every game in Emirates. And the ticket prices vary. Like for a Norwich game, I went for a ticket which was £35. Now the Tottenham game I went with Bob, I paid £120. So it differs. It depends. But yeah, so it's definitely, I think, because I would say Arsenal with the Emirates Stadium, with the seating capacity, it's actually comparatively easier to get tickets compared to an Anfield. So there are definitely ways to get tickets. The best way would be to take a membership, even if it's for a one-off game. If you take a membership and buy a ticket, it will actually be cheaper than buying a ticket from other vendors or ticketing sites. Because they charge quite a premium for tickets. And football in London or in UK in general, like Bob said, right? When you just travel, you get so many people traveling with you, different fans. So it's an amazing experience, definitely. Every football fan who follows EPL should one day come here and feel that.
Definitely. That's the dream for most of us, that one day we would be at Emirates. And getting back to the game, I mean, we do have the North London derby. That's why we had the whole conversations around this whole thing. Arun, so let's start with you about the North London derby preview, right? Form-wise, we do have upper hand, not much in that sense. Like, we do have a winning streak. We have kept clean sheets in our past two PL games and even in the EFL game. And Tottenham are running a little bit low after the way they started. They were top of the league, I think, first game week or something. And then after that, they've lost 2 games back to back with, is it 3-0 scoreline or something? 3 goals, yeah. So form-wise, we do have a slight upper hand. But we do know that when it's a
what do they say about a derby?
Yeah. So go ahead. What do you think of the form or the teams in general, like for the derby?
The form of Tottenham puts a big smile on my face. So yeah, I mean, like I said, when it comes to a derby game, it's all based on emotions and the crowd and everything, as we've seen on TV. Form usually goes out of the window. That's what they say during derby games. I think it's down to which team is able to be more clutch at that point and which player is able to take up the chances. You're not going to get a million chances in a derby game for sure. No, neither team wants to lose. That's the main thing, because you lose face in front of your fans. So neither team wants to lose. But given the approach that we've been having over the last 2-3 games and the form that we are in, it's interesting going into a game like this when they're not in form and we are in form. The confidence did help, and we did finish the game in 90 minutes with only a few players who possibly would be starting the game on Sunday, playing in the game against Wimbledon. Whereas for them, they actually played, I think, almost an entire first team, if I'm not wrong. And like Kane played a lot of time. Kane played a lot of minutes. I think Son also came in the second half and played over half an hour or so. I am not really worried about the rest of the team. It's only these 2 guys, Kane and Son, that worry me. I really don't care about the rest of Tottenham. You give one ball or one chance to either one of these 2 guys, and they're going to hit a goal for sure. So that's the only thing that worries me going into the game. But in terms of form, or in terms of how we are lining up or they're lining up, I do not see that affecting this game. I think this will be a proper derby game there with a new manager. They also want to do well in a derby game. The crowd will play a huge role because they're coming home to us. The crowd will play a huge role. With the new manager, it will be interesting to see how they perform rather than how we perform. I think I think we have every right to be, can I say, bullish about this game? Maybe, yeah. I think we can be bullish, but at the same time not too bullish or complacent to get trolled online. But yeah, I think we can be bullish about this game.
Are you really suggesting that Arteta, after all these games, is going to start this game on front foot? Because from whatever we have seen,
I don't know if Arteta is going to start the game on the front foot, but I know Nuno is going to start the game on the back foot. So that is the thing that makes me like think, because if you see all the games that they've played so far, even the first game that they did, it was 1-0 against City, and after that they got 2 wins. But every time they're pressing, that like Pochettino's pressing, Pochettino's teams press the shit out of you, like they don't give you any breathing space. And then it changed with Mourinho, and now it seems like it's still in the Mourinho phase. Like you do not see the same Tottenham pressing as they used to, going for the balls as they used to. It all seems like they're happy scoring that one goal, like what we do. Of course, we're not doing anything different. We're happy scoring that one goal and then defending it. But the way in which we score that one goal, the way in which we try and do things seems a bit better than what they've been doing. Like I said, it's a new manager that is making me think that we have a better opportunity this time. Arteta has beaten Nuno when he was the manager at Wolves. And I know everything I say here will exactly be the opposite of that would be happening in the game. I have that luck, but that makes me like really think if I should be as bullish as I
am. But Bob, but leave the form aside. I mean, as Arun said, the form is not going to play a great role. But again, regarding the starting lineup, we did have a lot of rest for a lot of our players. Let's put together what we would be going through. I don't think we are ever going to go back to a back three, at least like not in the near future, right? I mean, it's going to
not
be
at least Tottenham, I think. Yeah, you could say that way. Yeah.
So it's going to be a back four, and the back four would be our strongest, which would be Tomiyasu, Gabriel, White, and Tierney, right? I mean, we are not going to.
I possibly feel we will almost go with the same starting 11 that it did against Burnley. Injuries apart, or niggles apart, it probably would be a same starting berth as Burnley.
Even to the
no Xhaka, you say?
Dare I mention him? No, absolutely not. He's just going to be back, but I don't think he deserves any place in the starting 11 now that the other ones are actually making up their place. The only doubts that I have is the fact that instead of Pepe, I was made to think if in case we would be going in for a 2-up print with Auba and Laka, which has caused them so much problems in the past. So that's the only one question that I think could be different. But I feel the core of the Burnley would get to feature, and they are the strongest 11 on in terms of what we have. And I feel they have been compact enough to hold out 2 teams. I mean, so in that way, I feel Arteta would just go in with that, and then he would try and use. I don't think we've got the pressing game in us. I mean, we don't really go up high and then press, just like how Klopp has been successful with Liverpool. But if we get a chance or 2 in between, and then if some more Odegaard or Smith Rowe could actually come and make a difference, then possibly it could actually turn the game in our favor. That's what I think the game point would be.
But do you think that it's going to be Ramsdale over Leno? That's the question.
Yes, without a doubt.
Interesting. Anyone else countering that point?
No, I think it would be Ramsdale as well. He hasn't put foot wrong. But where I would like to differ with Bob is that I would like to play Xhaka in this game. I would like to get more control in the midfield.
For you to lose the game? Possibly.
No. Trust me. Like,
Arun's channeling his inner Deepak that Deepak's missing today. Like he's channeling his inner Deepak to support Xhaka.
No, but I seriously think I totally understand what you guys say when Sambi has done well enough to deserve a starting spot. But I think with the midfield pivot, like the advantage.
No, I think like when Bob mentioned Burnley, Sambi didn't start in Burnley game, did he?
No, not this last game. I mean, like either whether.
Yeah, so it's going to be like one at the mid, one at the base, and 2 at top.
That for me would be a disaster for this game. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think
you don't have to apologize. You are allowed to make your opinions.
Well, that's the Canadian in me apologizing. No, but I think like I don't think we'll be going 4-3-3. Tottenham don't sit back. I don't expect them to sit back, even though it's a big game. And by going a 4-4-3, we might lose an advantage in the middle. which I don't want to. So I think we'll be playing a normal 4-2-3-1 with the Shaka party play. And maybe Odegaard as the 10, not ESR would be my impact player, right? But I feel like Lacazette would start, and there is a possibility that Saka might start right wing. That's I don't know who's going to play left. Maybe ESR, but I think like Saka is going to start, and I think Lacazette will start.
That's an interesting take. Aben, do you think Lacazette is going to start ahead of Aubameyang?
I think, like Bob said earlier, Lacazette against Spurs is a good combination. He generally does score, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starts. But I'm not sure at all.
Because the question is, right, like remember that Aubameyang was left out due to disciplinary issues against Tottenham, and to not make him start in this game or giving the starting to Lacazette, would that make some kind of a friction in the team itself, or friction between the manager and Aubameyang?
I don't think so. See, it's who's the right man for this game. That screams Lacazette rather than Oba at this moment, because Lacazette, like you said, he was sharp from whatever highlights we saw of the Wimbledon game, and he has a good track record against Spurs. He scored in the past, so I'd say Lacazette is a better option. Oba hasn't been doing anything. He's not doing a lot. So you guys said the same in your previous pods. So why not? And I will actually go with Arun. I expect Saka to start with a midfield pivot of Saka and Partey, and Odegaard to play instead of Smith Rowe.
I have problem with that. The only reason is because I think
Xhaka?
We know Xhaka's thing, but the problem is for me is Arteta never brings back a player right away to starting 11 when they have missed a couple of games. Like if it's injury, or even when Partey got back from the injury after the international break, we were all saying that he might start the game, but he didn't. He came on as a sub. We had Aben and Sambi in the midfield. When
Arteta has never started the same back four before, but then he did start with the same back four. So he is reversing the trend.
I don't think he would dare start any game with Mari and Holding together again. So it's not like he didn't have to think a lot. It's just like an options that he has. The options he has in front of him are very few.
So let me put it this way. With the game in mind, let's put a danger man like Aben. With Spurs, we know who the danger men are, right? Like we know Kane and Son are the danger men, and we know that they are the ones whom we should contain. And with our team, who do you consider as the person who would be creating trouble in this game?
So I'm not sure about creating trouble because we haven't been creating trouble that much. But for me, our most key player in this game is going to be Gabriel. For me, he is to stop Son and Kane. I think he's our strongest defender we have, and for me, he's the most key player. But going forward, like we haven't been scoring a lot, but if Lacazette starts, then I would say he is the best attacking threat we would have. Scoring threat, I would say. Okay.
So Arun, so you're not thinking that Pepe would start, is it? Even after resting him for the EFL Cup and being one of the attacking threats that we have.
I think I asked you guys this question, or we discussed briefly about where Saka should be playing, where Pepe should be playing. Right?
Yeah.
I realized that I might have been wrong. Not might have been wrong. I think I am wrong. I think even though Pepe is a goal threat and he plays from the right wing, the things that Saka is able to do over a 90-minute period from the right wing actually has probably more impact than what Pepe can do in the same 90 minutes from the right wing. Though he carries more of a goal threat, Saka tries and does a lot of things that get you to a goal. Like, your assist, your pre-assist, your moves and all that. He is really comfortable from the right. So I think ideally he should be starting from the right. And maybe if that means Pepe moves to the left or doesn't start at all, I wouldn't mind that. I would like Saka to be where he's most comfortable at. And where he can score more. Of course, I don't think that's going to happen on Sunday, but still, that's what I would like.
So who is your key player? I mean,
My key player is Thomas Partey and Odegaard. These two guys are going to be the key players for the game. We are not going. I don't know if we'll get a lot of chances, but if anything does come through, it's going to be through these two guys. So these two guys carry the maximum potent from our side.
And from their side, you're still saying
it's
that
easy.
Kane and
Yeah,
Son.
Son and Kane.
You're
The rest
not-
of the team is like, yeah, who's there? I don't even know. Like
Hoiberg and Lores.
No, I'm just quite surprised. Why do you guys? Ken is coming in the worst of forms, and now is again.
Doesn't matter. Like as form goes out of the window during a derby, Kane comes to form and scores in a derby. It's like a given. He always scores against us. So
but he didn't score against us during our last home game.
Yeah, but before that, the 10 games, I think he scored against us. So the sample size is big, and the possibility of him not scoring is low. So I would say, like, yeah, still Kane and Son.
For me, I'm surprised that no one's talking about Loris, because he usually performs so well against us. And in any game, he just becomes the Superman goalkeeper against us and Man City. Those are two games when he always plays his best. Bob, do you have
powers are waning?
Bob, your key men, danger men, whatever you call them.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different take here. I feel we would be really reliant upon Partey and Gabriel. I feel they are going to be very vital in wherever they are going to play, because they are going to hold up the defense in the midfield. And if we manage to get through those places well, then it means that we have a fair chance of winning it. Tomiyasu would again likely be the key, because I think there is a lot of threats that he can expect from that left flank of Tottenham, and then he can actually counter all of them, and in fact he can actually make some bursting runs. Then it could help us in our favor. So Tomiyasu, I have a strange feeling that he might actually make some difference during the game. I don't know how far it's going to be true, but yeah, we'll have to see. Apart from that, yes, up front, I'm just hoping that Abba scores. I don't really say I expect, because whenever I expected, none of these things have happened. So I just hope that Abba finds his scoring boots and he get a chance to score there. That would be really lovely. In terms of Tottenham, the player that I'm really looking out for is Tanganga. If he gets to play, he's got this attitude of making really good, or making himself really worse, and I just hope that the latter comes into place, because he did get red carded as well in the past. So I'm just hoping that if he could actually showcase some of his madness and then get red carded, that could as well come into our flavor. Son and Kane, yeah, I think we've spoken enough, not to glorify any of them, but Son is good. He might get a chance to score.
that is the typical Arsenal fans reaction. Yeah, Son is good. Good on. Stop talking about it. But no, for me there are a couple of surprises that I have different opinion, especially when you mentioned that back four thing about Arteta never playing the same back four. I am kind of thinking maybe Arteta would change the back four, that we might get a Gabriel Holding partnership instead of, because Holding is very good in one-on-one. Like if you tell him, mark this man, he would do it. So having Harry Kane there, I suspect maybe Arteta might be tempted to put Holding in there to mark Harry Kane out of the game. And that would give Gabriel a lot of more room to, mark or get Lo Celso or Son. So I still think White might miss out on this game.
For a second, I was holding my heart to see if you don't mention Mari. Really.
even I cannot go to that extreme. Even my heart cannot handle that, to have Mari and Holding in the team. But
the PTSD is too bad.
But yeah, I am still thinking that or whenever we might get. We know that we might get Aben at some point in the game if things needs to be shored up. That is another thing that I'm looking at. And yeah, that is all I have been thinking. There are I am really jittery about this game. I know it's usual for Arsenal fans to feel jittery, but I feel extra jittery because we always muck up these kind of landmark games or games that we really expect Arsenal to
No,
do.
don't jinx it even before it happens.
No, this is like anti-jinxing. By jinxing it, you
Okay,
are
okay,
anti-jinxing it. So this
okay.
is, but I'm going to steal Bob's start corner. Maybe he could add that later, but I'm going to steal that a little bit to talk about the Arsenal Tottenham rivalry, what happened, how it started. I mean, most of us know that Arsenal is like from south, that we were formed by the Armory, the Woolwich Arsenal factory. That's where the Arsenal club was formed, and that's one of the reasons why even after these many years, when we moved to North London and took up Highbury as our home, even now the Tottenham fans still feel that we have encroached their territory. They still call us, I mean, Aben would be able to tell more about it, where they call us a South London club or a South of England club in general. That's the banter that they usually bring up. That was the start of it, but I mean, Arsenal was called, I think, Royal Arsenal, and then we changed that to Woolwich Arsenal based on where they worked and everything. So after we moved to Highbury, though, the major point that got both the clubs a little bit riled up, or this whole rivalry kind of became strong, is around after the World War One, where Arsenal were in the second division and we finished sixth that season, and Tottenham were in the first division. They finished 20th. Chelsea finished 19th, which is still like kind of in history, people say that Liverpool and United kind of made sure that Chelsea finished on 19th, so that United stayed up and something like that. But due to relegation, the last two teams have to drop, which means Chelsea and Spurs have to drop, and the first two teams from the second division has to go up. But because of World War and all those things, they kind of made it as a voting option, where people get to select which teams go up and which teams drop. And sadly for Tottenham, they lost the voting thing, and we won the voting, even though we finished sixth in the.
Been losing ever since, right?
Yeah, we went up in spite of finishing sixth in that season. So we went up, and Tottenham, in spite of finishing 20th in their league, dropped. And that's when the whole rivalry kind of became big. In case that's the starting of this whole rivalry. And then we know the whole thing, like 1971, we won the title at their ground the first time. And then we won again at 2004, where we won at White Hart Lane. And we also stole their, Sol Campbell, which is again a pain point for them.
That's probably the best of the lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I don't know if you guys have seen that interview or the introduction of Sol Campbell by Arsene Wenger. He'll just sit there and smile like the devil that he is. Like, I'm just gonna introduce you to someone new. Like Arsene goes that way, and then Sol Campbell walks in. The best reaction from some of the best moments for us to think back and be happy about. Bob, do you want to continue? Do you want to add some stats to this?
I was going to say, in the last 28 games that Tottenham has played against Arsenal at Emirates or at Highbury, they've never beaten us after the one that they bet against in 2010, when they bet us 3-2 after coming from 2-0 behind. Apart from that game, we've not at least lost against them, so I don't really expect them to lose there. I touched upon Lacazette's attacking prowess against Tottenham, so he could be very vital. More often than not, I see this strange coincidence where if we concede first against against Tottenham at home, then we go on to win the game most of the times, at least in the recent past. That's what it has actually taught us. So I'm not hoping that we concede first, because it will give me jitters more than ever. but I'm just hoping that it has actually turned out to be a good omen. Yeah, so this game could be very compact because it's got two different managers who are both trying to prove at their respective fan bases and things. So it could be sort of different from all the previous ones we've seen. Arteta although he's slightly out of pressure at the moment, but still, there is a spotlight on him all the time. So there is a lot of expectations for him to win and then move on. For all the talk of them topping the table and then being bottom of the table, at the start of the international break, have all turned the tables now. If we go on to win more than, if we go on to win the game by more than 2-goal difference, then we will be ahead of them in terms of the table difference. So that's how the table tilts, and that's how actually three games can actually make such a difference. So I'm just hoping that we win, and then we beat the shit out of them.
We all hope that we win. So let's start with the predictions. I mean, we don't have to do a lot more, I think, predictions. So Aben, do you want to go first as being the guest? So what are your predictions for the game?
Actually torn between a 0-0 and a 1-0. I'll go for the optimistic prediction of a 1-0 victory to the Arsenal.
1-0 victory to the Arsenal. So Bob, do you want to go next?
I feel we will win 2-0. That's the optimist in me talking.
Everyone's talking about clean sheets. I am still jittery about that part of it. We have had 3 clean sheets. I mean, if you consider the EFL, I'm thinking like, oh my God, clean sheets.
That's the most since January this year, by the way.
So Arun, are you still going for the clean sheet trend?
No. It'll be a 1-1 or a 2-2.
1-1 or a 2-2. So you're not thinking that we would win?
No.
Oh.
Unfortunately, no. I think it'll be a draw.
Is this you?
I think Arun is actually playing mind games and then he's trying to anti-jinx it.
Well, if it's gonna work, yeah, I'll do it every game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to the Arsenal. I think we will win and we will concede, especially with that Kane and Son partnership. I'm still wary of it. And with us not scoring a lot, I think, yeah. I hope Abba scores, literally. But yeah, that is the predictions for me. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining in. It's been a nice time talking to you about this game and everything Arsenal. So meet you after the victory. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.